I'm told. We're waiting for UN Ambassador Susan Rice. She is back on Capitol Hill yet again today. More meetings with lawmakers over the White House response to the attacks in Benghazi. Yesterday, she met with 3 top Republicans who all said they were more disturbed about the situation after the meeting than they were when the meeting started. Have a listen.
I'm more convinced than ever that it was bad, it was unjustified to give the scenario as presented by Ambassador Rice and President Obama 3 weeks before an election.
So that was Lindsey Graham. John McCain was out there. Kelly Ayotte, Republican Senator Jim Inhofe is a member of the Senate Foreign Relations and Armed Services Committees. And, sir, good morning to you.
Well, good morning, Bill.
You're on the record already saying that you will not support her if she is nominated to be Secretary of State, but not just because of Libya. What's the problem?
Well, yeah, let me clarify that. My first thought, Bill, was what if Susan Rice was thrown under the bus and that they all knew that she didn't have the information of the CIA? Then I thought, you'd have to feel sorry for her. Since yesterday, and talking to some of those to whom she talked, I'm absolutely convinced in my mind, Bill, that she's part of the cover-up. She knew all the time the CIA information that was given to her. But your point's very good. I would have a hard time. In fact, I could not support her in the Secretary of State if she is nominated.
But give me a reason why. I mean, list several in your statement.
I'll give you several
North
reasons.
Korea, Syria, Israel's relationship with the Palestinians.
Well, sure. She's on the wrong side of the UN membership of the Palestinian Authority. She's on all of these giveaway sovereignty things that come up for the United Nations. She's on the opposite side of where I am. She has kept on funding UNESCO, which was in violation, I believe, of the instructions given to her through law. And so she's on the opposite side of every issue that I am. So for that reason, I would have opposed her anyway.
But it appears
to me, I'm now convinced.
Yeah, it appears to me and many others that when we listen to folks like yourself talk, that this issue is much bigger than Susan Rice and the potential position of Secretary of State.
Well,
let me just drill down on one area here. Because yesterday, the CIA acting director at 10 a.m. apparently blamed the FBI for changing the language and the guidance of the talking points. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the CIA acting director came back and said it was the CIA after all. Now, what explains that?
Well, I don't know what explains that, because we're not getting the same story. But you have to keep in mind, this stuff is really coming from the White House. They're hoping this will go away. And this has been something that I think is now a much more of a problem after yesterday, probably will be today. And I don't happen to be one of the senators that she cares to talk about. Maybe it's because I'm opposed to her from her positions as ambassador to the United Nations, and nothing else I think could change my mind on that.
But based on that answer, it appears that you're willing to take this issue higher than just Susan Rice when it comes to Benghazi.
Oh, absolutely. Well, all these things, this is going to go down as the biggest cover-up in history. They all knew it. They are hoping it'd go away. They're hoping, first of all, to have it go beyond the election date, which it did. But now people are not going to forget it. Not going to forget that the administration deliberately covered this up and misrepresented what happened in Benghazi that ended up in the death of 4 people, one of whom was a good friend of mine, Ambassador Stevens. They're not going to forget that.
The biggest cover-up in American history.
It could be. It could go down as the biggest cover-up. Yes, sir.
Oh. When Senator Lieberman came out yesterday afternoon, he seemed, he's listed as an independent, caucus with Democrats, but he seemed to take more of a conciliatory tone towards Susan Rice. And after hearing his explanation, you wonder if this is now developing into a Republican versus Democrat issue. And if that's the case, you're in the minority. So
well,
what happens?
That's true. Well, let's keep in mind now that Senator Lieberman is neither a Republican nor a Democrat, but he is on the Democrat side. Generally, his attitude toward the multinational organizations is much different than mine. So I think it goes back to what do you see in that role? And that's what I think his position is.
But does the issue move forward if it's Democrats on one side and Republicans on the other? Or was this some sort of trial balloon floated by the White House to see how Susan Rice was received by your fellow senators on the Hill?
I think that's part of it, and I think it's also a part of checking out to see if there's enough support there, should he nominate her to be Secretary of State, that she would be able to survive that. And I think that they're in the process of learning that now. I hope that they could not.
It is an intriguing issue, sir. Thank you for your time. We're going to watch and see what comes of these meetings today. We did not expect the reaction we got yesterday from McCain, Ayotte, and Graham, but it was a major headline. Sir, thank you, Senator.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Bill.
All right, Martha.